Welcome, everybody. This is Keith Jowers with JC Films Jacksonville Production Club, and we have another Clapboard chat. My guest today is Bethany Bryan, and she's part of our club here locally, as well as an author. Just released a book called My Story Continues. So I'd like to bring her on right now and introduce you to Miss Bethany Bryan. Welcome, Bethany.
I'm doing good. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, good. Well, you know, these are very short interviews. We just try to find out a little bit about all the people that's involved with our production clubs. And I know a little bit about your story. We'll get into that in just a moment. But I'd like to tell our folks why you decided to be a part of JC Films Jacksonville Production Club.
Well, I have had a flair for acting since I was a kid. I can remember doing school plays and whatnot. And honestly, I enjoy being in front of the camera and behind the camera. So I love the writing aspect of things. I love just the production side of things. And so I'm a firm believer that when you are given a talent that you should invest in the kingdom. And when this opportunity came to me, it was perfect timing. I was just kind of dabbling back into some acting and writing and whatnot. So it was something that I had to jump on board with. And I know Christian films are super valuable and important. I feel like just entertainment itself nowadays are just something that I don't want to get involved in. So really just having a Christian vein to kind of travel down has been a blessing already. I really enjoyed the workshop so much, and getting to know all the people that are right here, you know, in Jacksonville, just like the talent that we have, and being able to connect in that way to some great people already. Like, I'm super excited. It felt very family.
Well, it was quite an interesting turnout we had there, because we started earlier in the morning with 6 years old to 9 years old, and that was interesting. And then we got into preteens, and then we had a teen workshop, and then we had the adults, which I really enjoyed the adult class. It was so large. But tell us what you thought about the first initial workshop that we had, because we will be having more in the future.
I loved it. You know, I've been to just your normal kind of audition type feel things. And like I said, this just felt so comfortable. I felt like I wasn't under this incredible pressure. You know, usually when you go into an audition or a workshop or anything of that nature, like you just feel like you're being kind of judged. And it didn't feel that way. It felt like everyone was so encouraging. You know, they would applaud whenever, you know, anybody did anything up there. And that's something special, you know, because you have to have each other's back and you have to support each other. And it's not some dog eat dog, you know, like environment, like most, you know, auditions or workshops would be. So I really enjoyed that. I loved, like I said, like connecting to each person, kind of like you're just, you know, like, here's this, go up there, you know, you have this new person next to you that you've maybe never even met. And you just I connected so much, like with the person that I did the read with. And like we hugged each other afterwards, like, hey, you know, let's swap numbers. And everything was just so different than your normal environment. And I felt like I took from it too. Like I learned, you know, I've been involved in, like I said, kind of the audition world for a long time, but this felt new. It felt fresh. It felt so comfortable. And I just loved it. I can't wait for more.
Well, you know, I felt that actually with all of our classes, whatever the age group was. It seems like everybody was just comfortable with everybody, and not really. And some people were nervous, obviously, because they had never done it in front of a crowd before. And then we went over the basics of auditioning and a little bit of backstory of where JC Films came from. And Jason just seemed to make everybody feel at ease, really. And what really encouraged me the most was the meeting after the meeting ended. It seemed like we had another meeting an hour later after our class actually stopped with the adults, which was very encouraging. And it always is when you have the meeting after the meeting, because people are really getting to know each other and people were learning from each other. And I know Jason found out a little bit more about you. And I know you recently wrote a book that kind of tells a little bit of your story. Let's not give all the book away, but let's show us your book that you just came out with.
This is my book. It finally was just shipped out. So we had a little bit of printing delay, but God's timing is always perfect. So just trusted him. And
that's the title of it, right? The title is My Story Continues, right? My
Story Continues. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. And I know that you've had some illness in your life, and that's part of the cover there. And it goes into because your story does continue. And I think that's a a story for all of us. I think all of our stories continue if we just don't give up, right?
Right,
So
right.
give us a little background on the book. Why should we buy your book?
Yeah. So I was born with cystic fibrosis, and being diagnosed at birth, they didn't think that I was going to live past 6 due to it being so strong. And thankfully, I had almost a completely normal childhood. It wasn't until my teen years that it really started to kind of become a forefront character in my life. But because I had the foundation that I had with my parents, they raised me to know that this illness was not my identity, that my identity is in Christ, that I'm healed, and that I walk as if I'm healed. So my journey kind of led me to this strong, unstoppable faith, to where I actually ended up stopping my treatments after having so many issues with the medication. So cystic fibrosis medication is really harsh. And I was like kind of a rare case in the fact of they didn't even think that some of these side effects would pop up so soon, but I would be placed on something. And then one of them was making me lose my hearing. And just multiple issues that they were just this would not be happening this fast. So of course, me and my faith, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put my life in God's hands, and I know he's my healer. That's how I was raised. And so I walked away from treatment for 2 years. And so my book really just follows that journey of trust that I had to go through for believing God for each breath and the miracle that he brought into my life, which the reason it's called My Story Continues is actually has 3 different endings because it's written in real time. So as you're reading it, that's where I was at, in that moment. And so, I have these 3 different endings in different kind of viewpoints. One of them, I'm dealing with this kind of thing, and then the next one, it's this kind of thing. So I feel like it's very relatable on different levels. It's not just for those who battle, physical illness. It's also, the spiritual battles that come with that, or the emotional battles. So there's a lot in this book. And the reason that, I believe the Lord led me to share my story is for that, to encourage others to overcome. It's basically a story of overcoming.
And that's, wow, this could go on a lot longer than our 10-minute chat, but we're going to leave it here shortly. But I can tell you that particular analogy of your book and telling us a little bit about that's anybody's story that's been through some tough times. And I mean, I've been there, my wife, we've all have seen stories, and we have come across so many relationships in our lives since our 35 years of being married, that of people who had stories like that, and they've never thought about writing a book or making a movie or anything like that. But it's just that God seems to bring stories of perseverance to a fine tuning point at some time where finally it's an aha moment. You say, maybe I should just write this down. And you never know what's going to happen from there. So everyone's story really continues until he says it's over.
Right.
And
he is the author.
It reminds me of that song "It's Not Over" with Ricardo Sanchez, I think, and he wrote when his son was had a terrible hospitalization while he was on tour and everything. But he just sat in the airport and just wrote out, "It's not over," and because a lot of people's story is not over. Folks, we're talking to Bethany Bryan, who's not only part of our Jacksonville JC Films Club, which I'm very, very happy that she is that she also wrote this book, My Story Continues. And you know what I'd like to do, Bethany? Our first meeting's coming up very soon, and everybody's going to get an email about that tonight. And I would like to have a copy signed by you that night given away. I'm going to buy a copy of that book, and we're going to have a drawing that night, and I would like for you to sign it to them, whoever's going to win that drawing. Anybody that comes to that meeting, I'm going to buy the book for them, and I want to be able to give that away that night. You sign it and have a little chat with them about their story. Okay,
I will.
So, all right, folks, so we're talking to Bethany Bryan. Tell us, why would people who okay, let's say you're not a big actor or actress or been on stage before, maybe you have some behind the scenes talent, why would somebody want to be involved in a JC Films production club that you're not going to get paid a big paycheck, but there's other rewards coming? Why would they want to do that?
I think above anything, like I said, you're giving your gift over to God. You're using it for something that is so rewarding. It's more rewarding than a paycheck. That you're going to be a part of changing lives, whether that's behind the camera or in front of the camera. You know, I know that we are meant to use all the talent, like even, you know, like you said, like catering, you know, for the actors and crew, like all of the gifts that you have, there's a place in the kingdom for them. And that is the only, you know, rewarding part of, you know, donating your time to something for the Lord, but also the community, you know, the family. At the end, you know, of the workshop, we were all swapping numbers and sharing stories. And it was like, you know, I already have one of the ladies like, let's go out for coffee. Let's go out for coffee and talk more, because, you know, even though we were there for an hour afterwards, like there was still so much there. Like it just felt so family. That's all I keep going back to, is like, it was so family oriented. And I just love that feeling.
And you know, Bethany, is after what this world's been through in our country the last couple of years, it's time for we just enjoy each other's company and try to help each other, you know, because you know, you can't depend on people that say they're going to take care of you. You can't do that. You got to find people that truly believe in your mission and what you're doing, and we can help each other along the way. So folks, I want you to tie into JC Films Jacksonville Production Club. You can go to that website or that Facebook group, JC Films Jacksonville, and become a member. There's no fees attached to that. And we will be looking, as we go to producing our first movie later this year, we'll be looking for sponsors, companies that want to be a part of it somehow. But we'll be looking for all sorts of talent. Like she said, catering. Well, the craft services on a movie set is all that people look for sometimes, is because they take care of us. They take care of our drinks and our appetites throughout the set. And those are always fun to be around. So if you want to actually help sponsor JC Films Jacksonville Club, or any of the area clubs that we have, you can go to jcfilms.org. You click that. If you want to be a part of our producers club, which is $10 a month, folks, you can go right down and drop down and put Jacksonville, and that money comes to our club, or that money goes to another club in Tampa, Orlando, wherever you are in the country. You can do that through jcfilms.org. And that's how Jason Campbell puts back into the films that we make. He puts all that money back into the films, and we make great films that are inspiring and faith-based oriented. So we are so excited about that. Bethany, show us that book one more time. We're going to put a link into this chat that people can get their own copy. But if you come to our meeting, you might win that copy.
You might win it.
And signed by Bethany, and hear a little bit more about her story. So folks, we thank you for being a part. Thank you, Bethany, for being a part. And we look forward to having you part of our production club, because I think you are a huge asset to our club, and I appreciate your time today. So, all right, folks, that's going to end this Clapboard Chat number 4, and we will see you around, and so will Bethany, at our production clubs here in Jacksonville. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.